Exposed, the incredible journey of a mail-order bride who found love after 7 heartwarming words. In the heart of a worn-down Midwestern town, Emily felt like she carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. At 32, she was a single mother, a waitress hustling through the day, and a survivor of a bitter divorce that left her reeling. Everyone around her whispered about her choices, judging her from behind closed doors like a topic on a morning radio show. But Emily had hope for herself and for her sprightly daughter, Lily, who sparkled with a light that warmed the darkest corners of their lives. Emily's dreams were simple but felt impossible. She wanted to secure a better future for Lily. As bills piled up and food was often a stretch, she sought an escape from the burden that had become her life. One dreary afternoon, scrolling through her phone, she stumbled across the world of online dating. A mail-order bride? The very idea seemed outrageous. Yet, if it promised a new life, the thought began to take root in her mind. Days passed, and the digital realm felt foreign, twisting her stomach into knots. Just as doubt began to creep in, a message broke through 7 words that transformed her world: "I see the beauty in your journey." Jack, a kind-hearted war veteran, sent her that note. His sincerity seeped through the screen effortlessly, igniting a flicker of belief in her heart. They began to exchange letters, rich with their hopes and fears, drawing them closer with every shared dream. But as their bond bloomed, Emily faced the suffocating scrutiny of her small-town life. Friends suddenly turned wary, their support began to crack under the weight of judgment. The laughter she once cherished at her diner job felt tainted by pointed glances and whispers that filled the air like smoke. Each question they posed forced her deeper into doubt: was this love or merely a desperate escape? Jack decided to visit, igniting a flurry of anticipation within Emily. Yet as she prepared for his arrival, the chatter grew louder, the whispers more potent. Friends and family shared their opinions at gatherings, transforming what should have been a joyous moment into a buzzing hive of fear and misunderstanding. Where once was excitement now trembled uncertainty. The idea of love they'd crafted through words was pitted against the reality of their lives. When Emily first laid eyes on Jack, the world seemed to fade away, yet chaos erupted around them as mismatched expectations collided. Her heart leaped, but so did apprehension. Would society's heavy hand force them apart? Would the community's judgment extinguish the flicker of love that had begun to blaze inside her? Emily was left standing at a crossroads, her heart aching from the weight of conflicting loyalties. She had a chance at love that felt palpable against the backdrop of unbearable judgments. Just when she thought she had made a choice, an intense silence enveloped them, charged with unspoken words, leaving both of them and the reader at the precipice of an emotional reckoning. What would come of their connection when faced with rejection? Could love truly conquer all? Emily's heart raced as she stood in Jack's presence for the first time. His deep blue eyes sparkled with kindness, a stark contrast to the storm of worry swirling in her own mind. They were at a small park, hidden away from the bustling diner she worked at, a sanctuary where she hoped the world's judgments would fade. But they lingered like shadows, reminding her of everything at stake. "Emily," Jack said softly, breaking the heavy silence. "I'm so glad to finally meet you." His voice was warm, grounding. She searched his face for signs of hesitation or doubt, but all she found was hope. "Me too," she managed, forcing a smile that felt both genuine and strained. They exchanged stories, and with every laugh, every shared secret, Emily felt the walls around her heart slowly begin to crumble. Yet, just beyond their bubble, the whispers loomed large. "What do you think they'll say if they see us together?" she asked suddenly, the insecurities spilling from her lips before she could rein them in. Jack looked thoughtful, then reached for her hand, enveloping it with his warmth. "Let them talk. What matters is how we feel. Don't let fear steal your joy." He was right. For that fleeting moment, she focused on the thrill coursing through her. But as Jack leaned in, brushing his lips gently against her forehead, a familiar knot tightened in her stomach. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, Emily returned home with Lily, who chattered excitedly about her day. "Mommy, did you have fun? You looked so happy." "Yes, sweetheart. I did," Emily replied, forcing an enthusiastic smile, even though her heart felt heavy. But soon, the next morning brought a flurry of message alerts. Rumors about her relationship were spreading around town like wildfire. Friends from the diner had sent screenshots of gossip that slashed through her like a knife, claiming all sorts of things about her and Jack, painting their beautiful connection in hues of desperation and folly. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Lily asked, noticing the hurt reflecting in her eyes. Emily knelt down to meet her daughter's gaze, struggling to find words that wouldn't weigh her little heart down. "It's nothing, love. Just some silly talk," Emily tried to reassure her, but the pain in her chest welled up again. Doubts began to gnaw at her. That evening, with heaviness pressing down on her, Emily decided to reach out to Jack. She needed to know where this was going, how he felt. Was it love they were nurturing or simply an escape from their own pasts? "Jack," she typed hesitantly. "Can we meet? I need to talk." The reply came swiftly. "Of course. I've been waiting for you to say something. Let us meet." And just like that, anticipation brushed aside her fears. As she prepared for the conversation, she couldn't shake the thought that this would be a definition of their relationship. An affirmation of what they both wanted or a goodbye. Standing in front of the mirror, she whispered to herself, "What if he feels the same way the town does?" The thought struck like a cold wind, but she shook it off. Emerging into the night air, Emily resolved to put all doubts aside, at least for now. She approached the small cafe where they would meet, heart racing with every step. Yet as she entered, she saw Jack standing beside an old friend from the diner, someone who had been part of the gossip mill. The sight brought everything crashing back. Could she protect what they had when the world was so eager to tear it apart? And with that uncertainty, Emily stepped into a new reality, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew about love and acceptance. Was she ready for the truth that awaited her? Emily's breath caught in her throat the moment she saw Jack, his laughter ringing out in the cafe, mixing with the clinking of plates and chatter. That familiar warmth she felt around him faltered, replaced by an unsettling chill. The old friend from the diner, Sarah, leaned in close, her hand resting on Jack's shoulder, laughter spilling from her lips as if sharing a joke. The sight triggered alarm bells in Emily's mind. Is he really that interested in what she has to say? The thought clawed at her. She forced her feet to move, pushing the doubts and insecurities aside. "Hey!" she greeted too cheerfully, hoping to mask the tremor in her voice. Jack turned, his bright eyes lighting up at the sight of her. "Emily!" he exclaimed, stepping away from Sarah. His smile felt like a lifeline, even as Emily's heart sank. "I was just telling Sarah about our first meeting." "Oh, really?" Emily said, trying to sound more intrigued than jealous. "Yeah," Jack continued, "I was saying how incredible it felt to finally connect with you." Sarah was quick to interject, "Must be nice to have a fan club, huh? Everyone's been talking about you too." Her tone was playful, but Emily caught an edge to it. Jack's gaze turned serious, the laughter fading from his face. "There's nothing to discuss. Just rumors." Emily forced a nod, the slightest tremor in her lips as she tried to keep her composure. "Right, just rumors." The words felt sharp, cutting deeper than she expected. Feeling the weight of their shared glance, she said, "Can we talk privately?" "Sure," Jack replied, concern flooding his features as he stepped away from Sarah, leading Emily to a quieter corner. The air between them thickened with unspoken words. Emily could feel the pulse of nerves radiating between them, the weight of the crowd looming beyond the faded music. "I saw you with Sarah." Jack rubbed the back of his neck, his expression shifting. "It's just we've known each other for years." "It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't it?" she asked, her heart thudding loudly in her chest. "Everyone is watching us, Jack. I don't want to be the joke of the town. He stepped closer, their eyes locking. You care too much about what others think. Maybe that's the problem. She snapped, frustration bubbling over. This isn't just about us anymore. They're making it hard for me to see it as just us. I didn't ask for any of this either, Jack countered softly. But I want to be with you. Don't let them drive a wedge between us. Emily felt the weight of his words settle on her shoulders, soothing yet heavy. But how can I believe that when there's so much noise? A flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. We'll face it together. Will we? The question escaped her lips before she could stop it, filled with doubt. Suddenly, she remembered her daughter's innocent trust in her and how much she wanted that for Lily. But this was different. This love was new, complicated, and fraught with potential judgment. Jack, she whispered, what if we're only fooling ourselves? What if this is just a phase? He reached for her hand, holding it firmly. I can't promise the world won't judge us. But I can promise that we can create something real. Against all odds, Emily found herself drawn to Jack's conviction. For the first time, she thought maybe they could weather this storm, but only if they did it together. Just then, the silence between them shattered when Sarah's laughter erupted from the other side of the cafe. The sound felt like a warning bell, reminding Emily of the stakes. Are you ready to fight against that? Emily asked, a surge of determination lifting her chin. Jack's expression darkened, yet his eyes reflected fierce resolve. Every single day if that's what it takes. The air hummed with possibility, and Emily felt a warmth swell in her chest. But just as hope began to blossom, her phone buzzed with a message. When she glanced down, her heart sank further. It was another rumor, one that named Jack with another woman entirely. Emily. Jack whispered, spotting her growing unease. She took a deep breath, torn between wishing for the truth and fearing what it might mean for them. What do we do now? In that moment, she realized the truth could either tear them apart or forge a stronger bond. One question loomed larger than any other: what if the truth revealed a reality she wasn't ready to face? Emily's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the words on the screen blurring together as panic washed over her. Another woman? Her fingers shook as she reread the message, half expecting it to be a cruel joke. Jack stood close, his eyes scanning her face, searching for answers he couldn't see. What does it say? He asked, his voice low and laced with concern. She hesitated, the weight of the words suffocating. Just another rumor, she managed, her voice cracking. One that suggests you might be involved with someone else. Jack's expression shifted, confusion giving way to something darker. Emily, you know that's not true. You and I. He paused, collecting his thoughts. I want you, and only you. These rumors are just noise. But the fear lurking in Emily's chest made the noise louder. What if it isn't just noise? What if everyone believes it? What if you feel the same way about her? A knot formed in her throat, tightening with each heartbeat. Stop. Just stop thinking like that. Jack interrupted, stepping forward to catch her gaze. You have to believe me. You mean everything to me. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but the chill of insecurity lingered. It doesn't feel that way. Not right now. She felt the tears prick at her eyes, the emotional turmoil threatening to spill over. I don't want to stand in the shadow of rumors. I want to let you, Jack replied fiercely, shaking his head. Let us go somewhere quiet. Just us. We need to talk this through. The resolve in his voice urged her forward, and she nodded, grateful for his insistence. They stepped out of the cafe, leaving the chaos behind them. Outside, the cool evening air brushed against her skin like a calming balm. Where can we go? She asked, her mind racing. Jack glanced around, his blue eyes catching the fading sunlight. Let's south head to the park. It's peaceful there. As they walked side by side, the silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken fears. Emily's mind raced back to the laughter, the whispers, the startled looks in the cafe. She felt trapped in a whirlwind of doubt. When they reached the park, the atmosphere shifted. Dappled sunlight peeked through the branches, creating a mosaic of light on the grass. Jack led her to a bench under a sprawling oak, where they both sat, the sounds of the city fading into the background. Jack began, hesitating as if searching for the right words. I don't want anyone else. You are the one I want to be with. I'm not going anywhere. She searched his eyes for a sign of dishonesty, but all she saw was sincerity. It warmed her heart, yet the shadows of doubt refused to retreat. But, how do we make them understand? How do we navigate all this? Jack leaned in closer, his voice soft yet firm. We don't need to explain ourselves to anyone. Our feelings, our truth, that's what matters. If this is meant to be, we will find a way. Together. Emily swallowed hard, imagining a future tinged with uncertainty but also possibilities. Still, she couldn't shake the intrusive thoughts. And what if the truth reveals things we can't handle? A flicker of unease crossed Jack's face, but he took her hands and held them between his. Then we'll face it together. Whatever happens, Emily, you won't be alone. Not again. Her heart swelled, battling with the barriers her mind kept building. There was strength in his words, a promise to fight against the odds. He squeezed her hands tighter, as if trying to anchor her to his intention. Just as hope began to settle in her heart, her phone buzzed again, pulling her back to reality. With dread, she glanced down at yet another message, this one popping up with startling clarity. Her heart sank as she read it aloud, Jack's really playing both sides, that other woman isn't just a rumor. A brief silence enveloped them, the finality of the words crashing like a wave against the fragile bond they were building. Jack's grip on her hands tightened instinctively, his eyes narrowing in disbelief. Emily, he started, but the confusion and drama hung thick in the air. Can we really survive this? She whispered, the fear finally surfacing. Only if we fight back, Jack replied, his expression firm and resolute. As the shadows of uncertainty loomed larger, Emily knew something had to change. The battle had only just begun, and the truth awaited them at every turn. Would they emerge together, or would the whispers tear them apart? Emily's breath caught in her throat as the weight of the latest message hung between them like an ominous cloud. Jack's eyes widened, searching hers for a hint that the words were somehow untrue. But the resolute look on her face told him they weren't just baseless rumors anymore. Emily, please, he said, his voice strained. You know me. You know us. Do I? She snapped back, tears welling up in her eyes. What if everything we've built is just a facade? What if it falls apart the moment someone shouts out a rumor loud enough? Jack released her hands slowly, the warmth of his grasp slipping away. He inhaled, steadying himself. We can't control what people say. All we can do is focus on what we know is real. And what is real? She demanded, her heart racing. What is real is that I just received a message calling our love into question. What if the next one holds a truth I don't want to confront? Jack ran a hand through his hair, visibly frustrated. Do you think I would ever let anyone else get close to me? You're the one I see my life with. His voice trailed off as a passing couple strolled by, whispering, glancing furtively at them. Emily felt the heat of embarrassment creep into her cheeks. She knew they were talking about her. See? She pointedly gestured towards the couple, only heightening the feeling of isolation that surrounded them. They're talking about us, about you. And it hurts to think that what might happen could shatter everything we've created. Jack's shoulders sagged, the fight momentarily leaving him. I know. I hate it. But I'll fight with you. We can't allow these rumors to dictate our lives. But how? She pleaded, her voice cracking. How can we tackle something so insidious? It's everywhere. Jack sighed and gazed around the park, as if seeking inspiration in the lush greenery and laughing children playing nearby. We start by confronting it. Perhaps reaching out to those spreading false narratives. Show them they're wrong, together. Emily blinked slowly, weighing his proposal. You honestly think that will work? Together, he emphasized, as a united front. We confront the rumors, we voice our truth, and we show everyone we mean business. People respect strength. The prospect of this feeling intimidating yet strangely empowering electrified Emily. And if it doesn't work? What if we end up making things worse? I'll be there with you every step of the way. There was something in Jack's tone, a kind of fierce promise that made her believe him, however faintly. In this together, remember? Taking a shaky breath, Emily released a tension she didn't realize she had been holding. What's the first step, then? We start by talking with the people we trust, he suggested, his eyes flickering with newfound determination. Let us schedule a gathering, invite our closest friends, set the record straight in front of everyone. Her heart fluttered at the idea, though uncertainties bubbled under the surface. And what happens if a mere gathering doesn't sway the tide? Jack reached across the space, catching her hand again, his touch grounding. Then we take another step. We go further. We fight back. Maybe we even expose the person behind these rumors. Emily's breathing quickened at the thought, both excited and terrified. Expose them? That sounds risky but necessary, Jack insisted, his voice unwavering. If we want to save what we have, we'll need to show everyone it's worth fighting for. We can't keep being pushed by whispers. Doubt ricocheted in Emily's mind, battling with a flicker of hope ignited by Jack's conviction. The stakes were higher than she had imagined, but bravery seemed to kindle in both of them. I want this, Jack, but I'm scared. He smiled gently, a light breaking through the heaviness. Fear is natural. But we can't let it decide the outcome. Are you ready to take the first step with me? As her pulse raced, a single thought solidified within her resolve. Yes, let us do it. Together. But just as they began to breathe easy, the dim glow of her phone lit up again, casting a shadow of dread across the moment. Another notification, another message. Emily's heart sank as she read it aloud. I hear she's going to expose you both at the party. Better watch your backs. Panic gripped her heart anew, the drum of uncertainty echoing louder than ever. As she locked eyes with Jack, she felt that familiar fear creep back. Would this threat fracture their hard-won resolve, or would it solidify their plan? The line was drawn, and now they had to prepare for a fight that was just beginning. But could they outsmart the shadows lurking in their lives? The urgency of the moment hung heavily in the air. Emily felt the weight of the message like a brick in her stomach. She looked at Jack, desperation etched on her face. What do you think they want? Why would someone do this to us? Jack's jaw clenched. Jealousy, maybe. Or simply boredom. People thrive on drama, especially when they see a couple fighting back against a tide of rumors. It gives them something to talk about. Is that all we are to them? Fuel for gossip. Emily's voice wavered, and the tears that had threatened before now slipped down her cheeks. No. Jack wiped her tears away with his thumb, his touch sending a spark of warmth through her. We're more than that. You're more than that. They stood together in that park, the world buzzing around them, yet all that mattered was the two of them and the moment they were in. Emily took a deep breath, her resolve slowly returning. Then we need to act fast. We can't let them get the upper hand. I can't just sit back and let someone dictate my life. Exactly, Jack agreed. That's the spirit. Let us plan that gathering, let us bring everyone together. Show them we're strong, that we won't crumble under pressure. Emily nodded, feeling a flicker of excitement mingling with her fear. We can't just tell them everything, it's too personal. We need a strategy to counter these rumors without revealing too much. Right, Jack said, his eyes lighting up as ideas started to form. We can control our narrative. We can create a safe space where we set the record straight without going too deep. It's your life, too. You get to decide how much you share. Okay. I can do that. Her heart raced as she imagined the gathering. A crowd of familiar faces, friends who had always supported them, and a chance to reclaim their story. When should we do this? How about this weekend? It'll give us a little time to prepare. Their conversation flowed seamlessly, ideas bouncing back and forth as they crafted a way to navigate the churning waters of their relationship. Laughter bubbled up between them, laughter that felt like a lifeline in that moment of panic. They were creating something, and the fear that had loomed over them started to feel controllable. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, a shadow darkened Emily's thoughts again. What if they show up at the gathering and disrupt everything? What if they spread even more rumors from there? Jack squeezed her hand tighter. Then we'll be ready. We will face it all together. This gathering isn't just about unveiling the truth, it's about solidifying our trust. Show everyone our connection is real. The reminder of their love was grounding. But as they planned, Emily couldn't shake the nagging urge that there was more going on than just idle gossip. What if there is someone orchestrating this? What if it's more than just rumors? Jack hesitated. You think so? I don't know, but I can't help but wonder who would benefit from tearing us apart. The weight of her words hung between them, thickening the air with tension. The call to confront the unknown suddenly felt much more daunting. The stakes were higher than they anticipated. Whatever it is, we face it together, Jack promised, though tension flickered in his eyes. As they walked away from the park, plotting the gathering's details, unease lay beneath their determination. A storm loomed on the horizon, and Emily caught a glimpse of their future, a future that seemed to shimmer with promise and shadowed by lurking threats. She knew they were gearing up for a showdown far bigger than she'd ever imagined. That night, as she lay in bed, uncertainty wrapped around her like a blanket. Would exposing the truth of their love be enough? And what of the person threatening to unravel it all? Was their love strong enough to withstand the approaching storm, or was this just the beginning of something far more complex? The next day loomed with promise and peril, and Emily's heart quickened as she feared the challenges ahead. Would they uncover the puppeteer pulling the strings behind the back of their love story? Emily woke up the next morning with a familiar knot in her stomach. The light streamed through her window, casting stripes across her room, but it did little to warm her heart. She could still feel the weight of last night's conversation anchoring her thoughts. As she slipped on her jeans and a faded sweatshirt, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. She looked tired, shadows under her eyes betraying her lingering anxiety. A small part of her wanted to stay cocooned in bed, but she knew she couldn't hide. Not now. Jack arrived shortly after she finished breakfast. He had his hair slightly disheveled and a determined look in his eyes. The tension had settled into a new routine for them, determined but hopeful. They discussed final details for the gathering over lukewarm coffee. "Let us stick to our plan," Jack said, tapping a finger against the table. "We'll keep it small. Just close friends and family. We need to create a positive atmosphere." Emily nodded, her stomach churning even more at the thought of facing their friends. "Okay, but what if someone shows up uninvited? What if they come with the intent to stir trouble?" Jack reached across the table, his hand warm against hers. "Then we handle it. You and I are in this together. No matter what happens." His words encouraged her, but doubt still flitted through her mind like unwelcome shadows. Hours passed, and the day of the gathering approached with a mix of anticipation and dread. Emily spent the afternoon tidying her small apartment, putting together snacks and drinks. Every sound sent her heart racing. The doorbell echoed through her chest like an alarm, her nerves twitching with every ring. As friends started to trickle in, Emily felt a surge of comfort. Their familiar faces brought smiles and laughter, but the atmosphere also buzzed with undercurrents of tension. She caught snippets of hushed conversations and sideways glances. It was exactly what she had feared. Jack noticed her anxious glances and sidled closer. "Remember, breathe. It's okay. Let us get the ball rolling." Emily took a deep breath and greeted everyone, putting on a brave face. She wanted to show strength, but inside, her heart was racing. Once the group settled in, she felt a collective tension in the air. "I really appreciate everyone coming tonight," she began, her voice slightly shaky but determined. "I know things have been complicated, so we wanted to clear the air." Jack stood beside her, his unwavering support bolstering her resolve. "Yeah, we want to address some rumors," he added, glancing at her, urging her to continue. "Emily and I have always believed in transparency," he said, creating a safe space for her. "And we're ready to set the record straight." The room fell into a hush, all eyes on them. Every friend seemed to lean in, waiting for the truth to unravel. It felt surreal, like standing on a precipice peering into an unknown abyss. Just as Emily gathered her thoughts, her phone buzzed loudly on the table. She ignored it, feeling the energy shift around her. Someone had texted her, an unknown number, with one chilling message: "You think you can just tell your side? You have no idea what's coming." The words sank in like lead, and panic threatened to overwhelm her. She looked over at Jack, the fear now clear in her eyes. "What do we do?" But before he could respond, a loud knock at the door echoed through the room, snapping everyone's attention. Emily's pulse quickened. This was it. Were they going to be confronted tonight? Jack shot her a reassuring glance. "Whatever it is, we face it together." With his words echoing in her mind, Emily moved toward the door, bracing herself for the unknown that lurked beyond it. As she reached for the handle, a wave of uncertainty hit her. Who stood waiting on the other side? What revelation would this moment bring? The door swung open, and everything shifted. Emily's heart raced wildly as she caught sight of the person standing there, a face she recognized but hadn't expected to see. What was their intention? Would it help or hurt their battle to reclaim their story? The door creaked open slowly, and Emily's breath caught in her throat. Standing there was Sarah, her childhood friend, eyes wide and a mix of emotions swirling on her face. Emily hadn't seen her in ages. Too many years had passed since their friendship had withered under the strain of life's complexities. "Sarah," Emily whispered, feeling both relief and confusion. "Can I come in?" Sarah asked, her voice low, almost fragile, like it might shatter at any moment. Emily hesitated, glancing over her shoulder at the gathering still buzzing with anticipation. But this was Sarah, a ghost from her past. She stepped back, opening the door wider. "Yeah, of course." As Sarah stepped inside, the room buzzed with apprehension. Emily felt all eyes on her, their curiosity palpable. She was suddenly caught between two worlds, the party she had aimed to control and the unexpected reunion unfolding right before her. "Is everything okay?" Jack asked, his brow furrowed. "Just a friend," Emily replied, keeping her voice steady despite the flutter of confusion inside her. Sarah glanced around, still unsure. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't know where else to turn." The air thickened with silence, a weight pressing down on them. Emily gestured toward a quieter corner away from the hustle of the gathering. They found a spot where whispers would escape less easily. "What happened?" Emily asked softly. "I know this is sudden, but I saw your name on the news," Sarah said, shifting uneasily. "They were talking about you and Jack and everything that's going on. I just thought maybe I could help." "Help?" Emily shook her head slightly, overwhelmed. "What do you know?" "I know how the rumors started and who has been spreading them," Sarah said, her voice dropping lower, almost a rush of confession. "I didn't want to get involved, but seeing your face on that screen made me realize I can't stay silent." Emily's heart raced. She felt a mix of gratitude and fear. Why now? Why not before? Because I was scared. People can be ruthless, but you know that. Sarah's eyes glimmered with sincerity. But this goes deeper than just you. There are people who want to tear you down, and I know who they are. What do you mean? Jack chimed in, his protective demeanor kicking in as he stood close to Emily. This isn't the time for games. If you have information, we need to hear it. I know it sounds crazy, but I thought they were just rumors, gossip. I didn't realize how bad it could get. Sarah clasped her hands together, visibly trembling. But someone close to us has been digging. I'm worried what will happen if you proceed tonight. Jack's expression hardened. Are you saying someone intends to disrupt everything we've started? A sudden chill swept through the room. The implication hung thick in the air. Emily looked between Jack and Sarah, trying to process everything. What do you suggest we do? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I think you need to be cautious. Someone might make an appearance tonight, Sarah warned, her tone urgent. You've got to trust your gut. Panic fluttered in Emily's chest as she glanced at the door again. She couldn't shake the feeling that an unseen storm was brewing just beyond it. The party continued, laughter floating in from the other room, but now it felt more like a trap than a celebration. What if it's too late? Emily felt the familiar weight of dread settle over her again. Jack squeezed her hand, grounding her. We've made it this far. We can't let fear dictate our actions now. But as the tension mounted and uncertainty loomed, a loud crash echoed from the back of the apartment, followed by a thunderous series of knocks. Emily! Open up! The voice was booming, unfriendly, and filled with a fury that splintered the cautious hope they had been building. Heart racing, Emily exchanged a frantic glance with Sarah and Jack. What had they all walked into? What awaited them on the other side of that door? Would they find answers, or would it all come tumbling down? The world around them dimmed, the noise from the party fading into a distant hum as Emily's heart thundered in her ears. The voice outside was powerful and demanding, a stark contrast to the fragile moment that had been cradling her with hope just moments before. Sweat trickled down her back as uncertainty coursed through her veins. Who is that? Sarah's voice cracked, her eyes wide with fear. I don't know, Emily replied, her throat dry. Jack's grip on her hand tightened, a silent promise of support. But we need to find out. The knocks sounded again, heavy and relentless. They all instinctively turned toward the door, as if shielding themselves from whatever storm was about to break. Emily! Open up! The voice boomed again, this time tinged with menace. Maybe we should call the police, Sarah suggested, her voice shaky. And tell them what? That somebody's yelling at a party? That's not enough, Jack said, exchanging a glance with Emily that spoke volumes. There was no easy way out, they couldn't ignore this. Just stay calm, Emily whispered, trying to gather her thoughts. Another hard bang rattled the door, and a faint shout from the crowd outside silenced their murmurs. The revelry paused momentarily, concern echoing in the collective breath of the guests. Emily felt the weight of their stares press against her like lead. Open this door now. I know you're in there. The voice was firm, demanding it was someone who wouldn't take no for an answer. Jack took a step forward, positioning himself between Emily and the door. Let me handle this, he said, his tone resolute. But Emily shook her head, a fierce protectiveness surging inside her. No, it's my name they're yelling for. I have to face this. As she moved toward the door, every step felt like wading through thickening fog. Memories of her past with rumors and lies flooded her mind, but she pushed them away. She had to show them she was strong, she had to stand her ground. Emily! Jack hissed, concern etching deeper into his brow. Think this through. But adrenaline surged within her. I am thinking. I can't let fear dictate my life anymore. If they want answers, I'm going to give them what they came for, even if it might hurt. Each knock reverberated through her, pushing her closer to that door. With shaky hands, she reached for the handle and turned it slowly, drawing in a deep breath. The door creaked open, and a tall figure stood silhouetted against the bright hallway. A tall man with a scowl carved onto his face stared back at her, anger radiating off him like heat from asphalt on a summer day. She could see the tight grip he had on a camera, the hint of the flash threatening to illuminate her shame in a blinding glare. "What do you think you're doing, Emily?" he barked, the accusatory tone of his voice cutting like glass. "You can't just pretend that everything is fine when we all know it's not." Suddenly, the party's initial buzz turned into a sharp whisper. Guests peeked around corners, craning their necks to get a glimpse of the confrontation unfolding. Emily felt their eyes; they were judging, searching for the truth among the chaos. The storm had indeed broken, and she was standing in the eye of it. "Please, just leave," she implored, her voice steady despite the chaos inside. "You don't know what you're dealing with." He laughed, his eyes narrowing. "Oh, but I think I do. You've made quite the name for yourself, haven't you?" Her breath hitched in her throat. What had he heard? What would come next? Suddenly, from the back of the crowd, a familiar face emerged, one she hadn't seen in years: James, her old friend from high school. His presence was unexpected, and as soon as their eyes met, she felt a wave of reassurance crash over her like a soothing balm. "What is going on here?" he asked, stepping forward and positioning himself protectively beside her. Emily could feel the tension draining slightly from her shoulders, but the fight was just beginning. The man at the door smirked, sensing the shift. "Is this your backup? You'll need more than that to get out of this one." "What do you mean?" James demanded, his voice growing fierce. "You don't get to intimidate her." Emily's heart raced again, but she felt emboldened, confronted by the sudden warmth of friendship. "James, you don't have to," she started, but was cut off by the crowd's whispers growing louder around them. "Get ready, Emily. Something's about to unravel," Jack whispered as he stepped closer. And just like that, the uncertain calm formed cracks. Just beyond the door, chaos awaited. Would Emily find the courage to confront the truth? Or would the revelation splinter her even more? As she stood there, balled fists and a pounding heart, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What other secrets lay hidden, waiting to be exposed? Would she be strong enough to face them all? Emily stood at the door, heart pounding, the noise of the crowd behind her a distant murmur. She felt a shiver trickle down her spine as the man's scornful gaze widened, a mocking grin stretching across his face. This was at the moment she had been bracing for, but now it felt surreal, almost like a scene in a movie where the protagonist was uncertain and afraid. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steadied by a flicker of defiance. "Oh, I think you know what I'm here for," he scoffed. "Everyone in town is curious about the woman who thinks she can just waltz in and transform her life without consequence. You really naive enough to think the truth doesn't have a way of coming out?" His eyes gleamed with malice. The murmured conversations of her friends rippled around them, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Could she really defend herself against this? Was she ready for the truth that hid in the shadows, waiting to be revealed? "Leave her alone." James stepped forward, his voice firm and protective. With a single glance toward Emily, she felt his friendship surge through her, bolstering her spirit in this maelstrom of chaos. The man's smirk faltered for a moment, but then he turned it toward James. "What, are you her bodyguard now? This doesn't concern you." "It does concern me." James stood his ground. "Emily is more than just your target for gossip, she's a friend. You don't get to bully her." "Bullying?" the man retorted with a scoff. "This is what happens when you misbehave, sweetheart. You put yourself out there, and now it's time to face the music." The tension thickened, tightening like a noose around Emily's throat. A wave of disbelief washed over her. Had she really thought she could navigate this new life without confronting the darkness behind it? "I have worked hard to build a life for my daughter," Emily declared boldly, stepping into the light, no longer a shadow of her former self. "What I do, who I choose to love, is my business, not yours. If you want to spread dirt, go ahead. But I won't be a victim to your lies." The man's eyes narrowed, caught off guard by her courage, yet he only laughed mockingly. "You think that's enough? I'm not done with you yet. Then bring it on." Emily's heart raced, emboldened by the support of Jack stepping to her side, a solidarity forming that felt like an unbreakable bond. He gripped her hand tightly, the warmth grounding her as the energy shifted. She saw understanding and fierce loyalty in his eyes, and it ignited something within her, a fierceness she didn't know she possessed. James joined them, his presence a powerful anchor. "You can't come here and threaten someone who has faced so much already. Emily has stood against far worse than your snide comments. If you're trying to scare us, you've picked the wrong people." "Yeah, what else have you got?" Jack added, his voice fierce with conviction. "We're here to stay, and you won't shatter our lives with baseless rumors." The man stepped back, his bravado faltering. He glanced around, uncertainty creeping into his expression as he processed the simmering resistance that surrounded Emily and her newfound allies. Maybe there was strength in unity that he hadn't anticipated. "Fine," he sneered, but a hint of nervousness lingered. "But don't think I won't come back with something bigger next time." With that threat, he turned on his heel and stormed away, leaving Emily's heart pounding as relief and adrenaline surged through her. The crowd's tension released, laughter and chatter picked up where it had left off. James and Jack turned to her, their faces lighting up with triumphant pride. "You did it, Emily." James cheered, pulling her into a fierce hug. "I couldn't have done it without you guys," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. Jack held her gaze, tenderness glowing in his blue eyes. "You were incredible. That was raw strength." Emily wiped away tears of resilience, heart bursting with newfound determination. "Maybe this is what I needed to confront the fears instead of running from them. To show that love is worth fighting for." As the evening unfolded with warmth and camaraderie, Emily felt a shift inside her. Balloons of hope had replaced the weight of her doubts. They gathered together, laughter echoing through the air, creating connections deeper than the murmurings of outsiders. She looked around at her friends, people who mattered, who saw through the rumors, and began to understand that they would stand up to the chaos together. Standing beside Jack, she felt her fears wane and the realization dawn: love wasn't just found, it was fought for. As the party wound down, Emily stepped out to gather her thoughts. The gathering turned into a beacon of fortitude against the shadows. The truth might still be coming, but she was no longer alone. In the midst of adversity, love could stand strong. She looked up at the night sky, stars shimmering above, and whispered a thank you for this journey, a journey that had begun to reveal her own strength and the beauty of the connections forged in love and loyalty. This was a new beginning for Emily and Jack, and perhaps even for small-town Whispers. And as she stepped back inside, she knew one thing with certainty: together, they could weather any storm. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for Emily and Jack's incredible journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to make an impact and spread the love.